course, to another installation of In the Hot Seat, a panel discussion focused on how technology is solving problems in today's market. I'm Kyle DeWitt, the Vice President of Technical Services here at ScanSource, and we're bringing to you today the next in a series we've done as part of the Discover Opportunity Initiative. And I'm excited today to be bringing with me some industry experts from our suppliers to talk about discovering opportunities in healthcare. So with me, I have Ricky, Carrie, John, and Paul. I'm going to let each one of you introduce yourselves briefly. Let us know who you are, who you work for, and what your role is. And we'll start ladies first. Ricky, let's start with you.
Hi, thanks for having me today. Ricky Jennings, I'm with Zebra Technologies. I'm the Chief Nursing Informatics Officer for our North America Healthcare team. And additionally, I have an expanded role that enables me to lead a team who focuses on our key partner relationships.
Great, thank you. Carrie?
Hi, so Carrie Bentley from Sato in Charlotte. I'm the Vice President of Sales.
No worries, thank you. Paul, let's come back to you.
Hi, good afternoon or good morning. I'm Paul Barata. I'm the Segment Development Manager for Access Communications based in Boston.
Thank you, Paul. And John, who's been up since early this morning from Arizona.
Yeah, all day, every day.
Yeah.
So John Orton, Healthcare Practice Lead for Avaya. I pretty much get involved in anything healthcare for the Avaya side.
Great. And thank you, all four of you, for joining us today. We have the NFL cities well covered here with Charlotte, Boston, Arizona. Ricky, I've completely forgotten now. You're Chicago.
Chicago.
Right? Chicago. Yeah, there we go. So thank you again, all four of you. So like I said, we are doing a series of these. We'll have some other panel discussions on topic in healthcare. Today, we're going to be talking with you four primarily about how the healthcare industry has shifted to taking healthcare to the patient instead of it requiring the patient to come to the healthcare provider. And this is nothing new. We're recording this first quarter 2021. So lots of industries have been digitally transformed. Lots of industries have been disrupted by the virus and the pandemic, which we'll talk about today. So Ricky and John, I'm going to bring this first question to you two. Carrie and Paul, love to hear your comments too as we get through here. Ricky, we'll start with you. I think one of the hottest topics right now that we're all seeing in healthcare is the distribution of the vaccine. And so ScanSource has a pop-up clinic in its parking lot. There's another one right across the street from us. It's testing facilities and administration facilities right now are very, very popular. I was going to use the word rampant. That's a terrible word to use in this industry. But so as we start to see the volume and the location of these administration sites popping up, increasing, that's introducing some interesting challenges. So how are you seeing that technology is being deployed to address those challenges of these mobile sites?
Kyle, you said it here, leading into vaccine delivery, we have learned so much over the course of the last year about the benefits of automation. We took significant lessons in the automation of the testing process and are able to leverage that into vaccine delivery. What does automation mean in vaccine delivery? And it's got two roles, both from a speed perspective, reducing those gaps that may be manual today, paper documentation, intake of patients into vaccine delivery, automating that process with the different technologies using scan and print, reducing just those steps by a couple of seconds actually can enable whoever is leading that effort. And in healthcare, there's a number of health systems leading those to increase the number of individuals they can reach in a day by thousands, few seconds leading to thousands more administrations. And then on the flip side of that, which is so important as we move forward, is ensuring that we've accurately captured the right information so that we can leverage critical information on the number of patients who have been vaccinated, the information on which vaccines were administered for any downstream monitoring, as well as any administration information. I am a registered nurse by background, so details like which arm the vaccine was delivered in are critical for patient care and continuity ongoing. So automation has certainly been a key element in ensuring the proper delivery of care in these alternative care facilities, way back from testing to volume management, and now here in vaccine delivery.
Yeah. And John, how what is a bias seeing?
Well, Ricky's spot on. We're seeing that the human element is unable to cope with just the sheer numbers of people calling in, right? So I'll give an example of one of our customers. Only a few weeks ago, they sent out 900,000 emails on a Sunday night to everyone that was eligible in the age group. And they set up a 1-800 number. Monday morning, they had to shut it down 2 hours later because their queues, they had 500 people in the queues. They had to reboot the system a couple of times, right? And they actually crashed the carrier at their local CLAC. So there's a huge demand, and humans just can't possibly cope with that demand at the speed they have to deliver it. So automation is probably what we call deflection, being able to handle those questions that a bot can handle, let's say. So do I have to show up with a mask? How do I get my second dose? I've lost my card. There's a whole bunch of different questions that a bot can answer that's not related to a human having to do that in the contact center. So they're able to then spend a lot more time, a lot more quality time with the patients that need it.
Yep, thanks. Yeah, that's I hadn't heard the story yet, John, but I assumed it was only a matter of time. With as highly coveted as the vaccines are right now, communications and handling the flow of customers, in this case patients, to get it is critical. Okay, so Carrie, I'm going to come to you with the next question, and Ricky, I'd also like to hear your answer to this one too. So we're starting to adapt the delivery, as we've been talking about, of healthcare to locations like parking lots and curbside and even patients' homes. And so the technology we use has to be mobile. Where are you seeing healthcare providers need the most help in ensuring that they're delivering patient care, no matter where the patient is? Carrie, let's start with you here.
I guess when you ask me this question, I kind of think of that old adage where they say, the game isn't won on the day. And I think that in these instances, really one of the most critical things we can do is ensure that leading up to this delivery, which is, as you say, it's mobile, and it is so critical in this time of ours that we have all of the right pieces in place for redundancy of processes. I think, John, you mentioned some unusual events there. We need to be able to cope with things that go right, things that go wrong. And a lot of this is about understanding and knowing that we're capturing the right data on the day. So yes, the point of capture on the day is mobile, absolutely, but there is a very long string of events that leads up to that point, and it's really about making sure that all of the data is readable, that it is input correctly, that we can access it, that there is redundancy for unusual situations, and that's where we're seeing people really bolster their own technology inside of their supply chains.
Just to add to that, Kyle, we see a lot of the regulatory requirements around that, right? So not only are you having to capture the data that's maybe in the field, it has to get back to the regulatory authorities as well. So there's a lot of double handling taking place.
And Kyle, that's exactly where I was going to provide feedback here, and what we're learning as these varying patient care settings. So whether that's in their home or something alternative, or from a telehealth perspective, what's most important as we support our clinicians, and Harry alluded to it, John talked about it, is consistency, bringing what you're used to, either from a provider standpoint or a patient standpoint, from an expectation, bringing that experience no matter where you're getting care. So consistently providing the right tools that you might see within the four walls of a hospital or within a doctor's office to this alternative care facility. So that ensures the continuity and experience, and most importantly, the safe delivery of care. We've made so many measures within the four walls of the hospital, ensuring proper patient care. We've got to ensure that that happens no matter where our patients are seen to be interact with a physician or provider of any type.
And Kyle, we're seeing as well, talking to our end customers, the need for technology just to help with the throughput of the patients and quality of care. So security side of it, the traditional security side of it, merging with the quality of care and how to get these people through and provide technology and people themselves to be able to move these people through the lines, and setting up things that we call CEPTIB, which is crime prevention through environmental design. So that would be things like routing, putting in cones and setting these sites up. And then on top of it, adding technology so that we can document what's happening through video and using audio as well. So it's a big task when you say, okay, we're going to move this out into the parking lot, or we're going to put it into a garage, and then setting that up exactly what both Kerry and Ricky said was, it's so important that the quality of care and the patient experience doesn't really change.
Yeah, I'm glad you took the bait. Ricky said safety in there at one point. I was about to put you on the spot, Paul, so I'm glad you chimed in there. But yeah, one of the other elements that we haven't really addressed yet today, but as we talk to our partners, when if you go back 5 or 10 years, I wouldn't have considered healthcare to be big business. Like I wouldn't have considered healthcare providers to really be focused on customer experience. And now there's brand, there's customer loyalty, there's customers have choices, patients have choices on where they receive their healthcare. So this has become just as much a business, this being the providing of healthcare, as retail is. So yeah, so the safety of patients, the experience they have when receiving care, the experience they have, John, to your point, with just trying to schedule care, like all those are critical for healthcare providers to get right. And thankfully, we all represent brands and technology that can help that happen. So Paul, I'm going to stick with you here. Next question, and John, I'll come to this. I'll come to you right after Paul here. But considering now that our not only our patients, but the technology by which we're delivering healthcare are dispersed, we're no longer inside brick and mortar. We're not inside walls providing healthcare. What kinds of technology can our partners leverage to ensure that they're able not only to track the assets, the carts, the whatever, right? The coolers, the refrigeration, not only those assets, but patients, helping track where patients are. Where are you seeing your partners leveraging technology to solve for that?
Well, they are leveraging video. So one of the things they're leveraging is analytics as well in the video. So at the edge of the camera, and things like line queuing, loitering, and things like that are easy analytics to have at the edge. And they're leveraging that so that they understand the amount of people that are coming in. They can react if there's a sudden surge. And they can also add analytics just on spacing. So if all of a sudden things are getting too crowded, they can get an alert on that. So that's one of the areas that we've seen a lot of questions about. And then it's the communication. You really can't have nurse call out in these areas. And especially when they were setting up these temporary hospitals and convention centers. And a lot of people came to us and said, is there a solution to that? And believe it or not, it was door stations, and it was video door stations that are SIP enabled, and you're able to have two-way communication, have eyes and ears on the patient. The patient has the ability to have eyes and ears as well, because you can add a monitor as well. So you could act just as if you're in a store with a PVM. So there's been a lot of challenges for us, but I think that you have to step back and you have to really look at the overall environment that these places are. And I think that you guys that are on the medical side have seen that it's from convention centers and stadiums to garages and parking lots. And so it's not just one cookie cutter way of doing this. You really need to look at what the situation is and build a solution around that.
Yeah, that's a really cool use of the door phone technology. I hadn't heard that one. That's interesting. John, same question to you. How are you seeing partners leveraging technology to track assets?
Yeah, we had a similar situation with the door phone, right? Because you'd have patients like in the day zero world where patients were highly infectious. We had doctors coming to us and nurses saying, look, every time the patient presses the nurse call button, we have to put on our PPE, and we get in there and they say, oh, I just needed some more ice, or I want another pillow. So they blew a whole set of PPE just for that. So we started putting video cameras into the rooms where it was connected to the nurse station so that they could actually connect with the patient to see if they've either fallen out of bed or they were choking or there was a real emergency, and ask them, what the problem was. 6 months down the track, we're now starting to see people are comfortable with video. Then they never used to really want to be on video. Please, my hair's not ready, etc. Right? I've got to get makeup on. And now they're saying, look, I don't want to go to the doctor's office if I've just got a sniffle. I just want to be able to get what I need to get remotely. On the other side, we've got the remote capabilities that the doctors want that to happen. And we're actually talking with, let's say, drone companies for delivering things like e-stethoscopes, e-blood pressure, and pulse oximeters, etc. So you can actually get a new doctor or talk to a doctor with all of the stuff that you need in the afternoon if you call in the morning. So it's really speed to delivery that we're seeing now.
That's great. That's another interesting adaptation of technology. I hadn't heard the drone story yet.
Kyle, just to add to that really quickly, is the other thing that we've done, work very closely with the electronic medical record system providers as Epic and Cerner. And we actually now integrate with those systems. So in their monitoring capabilities, now they're monitoring the telemetry and the physiological monitors, but we've added video to that. So now we've added video and audio. So it's become an eyes and ears situation. And as John said, it's a return on investment when you can show the reduction of PPE.
Yeah, that's great. Carrie, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. I know Sato's got a lot of products relevant in the pharmacy space, and a lot of your printing products are helping us track these assets. You have any comments on the same question here?
Telehealth is such an interesting space. I mean, there are a lot of processes that would usually take place in the doctor's offices. And I guess that begs the question, if I look at something like specimen collection, how will we enable that? Like, what is the supply chain mechanism that needs to sit behind it? How time sensitive is it? Do we need to do condition monitoring and tracking on this? I love the drone example, John. And, I've often kind of wondered where this goes in terms of building something that's scalable enough to handle this kind of remote service, and maybe in an extreme example, you might be looking at the Uberization or the crowdsourcing networking capabilities that might make tools of this kind of nature available on the spot. Couple of things we know about healthcare: time sensitive in some issues, in some instances, which we need to understand, and that's a much less forgiving network than we would usually be able to build in a standard supply chain. And then condition monitoring is something we'll need to consider inside of that. So very interesting space.
Yep. Yeah. And Paul, I'm going to give you the gold star here on creating continuity for me between the panels. So our next panel session is on digitization of healthcare. And EMR is absolutely going to be one of the topics there. So you're bringing it up, and carry your comments there for our listeners. If you come to this next panel, you'll hear us dig in on some of those topics with your peers. All right, so we're going to wrap things up. Ricky, I'm going to come to you. We're going to go round table here. Last question, but we'll start with you, Ricky. Just we've been talking remote healthcare today. Obviously, the theme being how's technology solving for the challenges and delivering it. I would say most healthcare providers now don't have a choice. They have to have a remote healthcare strategy. Their patients demand it. So are there any particular drawbacks that you're seeing to healthcare or unique challenges that our partners should be primed with before they start talking to their customers about remote healthcare strategies?
That's a big question, but when you really think about the pandemic, it drove, we're talking about them here, drastic innovation, and it all for the positive. So much of it was done at a pace that was out of ordinary, and where we had to respond to the immediate team, and innovations like ring cameras and remote visibility to conserve PPE, better connect, be able to provide care more quickly, really has transformed how we look at delivering healthcare and has set an expectation moving forward. And that's what we're talking about here. Now, at the same time, we made rapid decisions. We used innovative solutions. As technologists in the healthcare space, now is the time to step back, assess what was done over the course of the last year, what worked well, and then where does technology need to go in the future to become a true long-term strategy supporting the needs of both our healthcare providers and our patient expectations moving forward. As it relates to telehealth, there is nothing but positive opportunity to lean in to get to better know our patients. As from a provider's perspective, we've heard stories of meeting with a patient in their home environment and learning more about them, being able to better deliver care because we can capture insights that's different than when they came into the four walls of the hospital and you could only provide care based off a small snapshot, what you saw from them within that patient care setting. And now looking at healthcare, medicine, from a standpoint of being able to reach the patient no matter what they are. And that has so many benefits, both from accessing, enabling access to care, but also better enabling our providers to provide medical care specific to that patient's need.
Let's go to the Northeast here. Paul, some closing comments from you on the same question.
Well, first of all, I can't agree more with Ricky. What you're purchasing today, the technology you're looking at today, make sure that it's going to work tomorrow. A lot of times people were making these, we have to do something decisions on technology, and they're in a shelf already a year later. They're sitting or they're up in the ceiling and they're not doing anything. And then more importantly, make sure you have people, process, and technology. Think about with your customer about ensure that they have a process or guidelines on the technology itself, how it works, how to maintain it. And then all of those three things have to be closely aligned. You know, the people that are using it, the technology itself, and then of course the guidelines and the policies around the use of that technology. And if you do that, it's going to be a longer term tomorrow kind of purchase. And I think that's very important, especially with you have to do something attitude. And thermal cameras is a great example, right? They're sitting up in the ceilings right now doing nothing.
Yep, monitoring empty facilities, right? Yep. John, I'll come to you and then we'll let Carrie close us out.
Yeah, I think the discussions these days is more broad in the healthcare space. I think we've been for so long talking to hospitals and institutions about just the bare necessities, handsets, telephony, etc. And what we've experienced now that we've had that day zero realization that I've got to evacuate everyone from the building, not for what I thought was going to be a week or two, but a year. Now, as Ricky said, they have to step back, or was it Kerry? They have to step back and take a look at what does the future hold? What are the things that we have to take contingencies in? And we have to have that different discussion with different departments within healthcare, right? We get pigeonholed in you're the telecom guys. We're no longer the telecom guys. We're the communications infrastructure guys and the business process people that really, these are the tools that you see on this panel. These are all the tools that have to come together to make that work.
Yeah, thank you. Great points, John. Carrie, you're batting cleanup. You're closing us out.
Yeah, well, tough to say something after all these really great points. I mean, I can't agree more with everything that's been discussed today. But I guess, we've taken on a challenge in trying to support the needs of healthcare workers and support better health outcomes that we never thought we would be doing. And so to Ricky's point, we scaled up massively, and we reacted in the moment. And I think that, I think we did, as well as we could in that instance. But what we have now is an infrastructure that, frankly, we can build off. There is far more we can collect in terms of data and in terms of delivering outcomes. And I think anything that we can do within this, the combined networks like this to further democratize healthcare, to reduce costs and to make sure that those that need it will get it is a good thing. So, I think it will be a time of stepping back and figuring out what we've done. I think it's also going to be a time of, reassessing what the future looks like. Because the world has changed so much. So it's going to be very interesting. And the best advice I can give everyone at the moment would be to really get to know all of your solutions providers, really stay ahead of their roadmaps. Quite often we don't see the kind of development every day that we've seen over the last 12 months. So really take advantage of that and try and look for something that's going to be best fit instead of most typical fit. And if we all do that, I think we will do a good job of supporting our very, very worthy healthcare workers and people that have made it all happen.
Yep. Yeah. And so pulling some nuggets, some talking points out of what you said, all four of you. I think you can combine it all into the fact that no matter where our industry or where our company started, we're all in healthcare now. We have to. So, I mean, we even talked about this in the retail space, that even retail companies are now in the healthcare business because they're having to sanitize and be conscious of their customers. So, yeah, doesn't matter if it's communications, if it's scanning, if it's data, if it's security, everything is relevant now in the healthcare space. So, thank you again, Ricky Jennings from Zebra, Paul Beretta from Axis, Carrie Langley from Sato, and John Orton from Avaya. I really appreciate your time today. For our partners, as we close out, as I said in the beginning in the teaser, we have several panels as part of the Discover Opportunities initiative here at ScanSource. Check out ScanSource.com for more information on all of the collateral we've put together there. And with that, I will sign us off. Thank you very much.